Hey, how's it going? I'm Sydney from PhoneDoc.com, and I'm here to do a review of the Pantech Marauder from Verizon. Now, Pantech has made a nice name for itself by creating inexpensive phones that offer great features and pretty good performance, and the Marauder continues that legacy. Even though it's only $50 on contract, it has a dual-core Snapdragon S4 processor, it ships with Android 4.0, and it runs on Verizon's 4G LTE network. So some pretty good features for such an inexpensive price tag. We're going to take a look at it, do a full review, and decide if this is the phone you should look into if you're on a budget, or if you should look into one of Verizon's other inexpensive mid-range smartphones. Before we start, I have to say especially thanks to our friends at Best Buy Mobile for sending us the phones that we add to our One Paw Bandit game, the game where you guys can win free phones. One of the great things about Best Buy Mobile is that they sell phones from every major US carrier, including some prepaid carriers. And so instead of going to several different retail stores, you can just go to Best Buy Mobile and compare all the phones in one location. So thank you, Best Buy Mobile, for being so awesome. Thank you guys for watching this video. It's a review of the Pantech Marauder from Verizon. I'm Sydney from PhoneDoc.com. Let's get started. So let's get started with the Pantech Marauder. It's $49.99 on contract, which is a pretty good price. You know, it's got a dual-core Snapdragon S4 processor, Android 4.0, Verizon 4G LTE speeds. So a pretty good deal considering everything that you get. We'll start out, you know, in terms of hardware. We'll talk about, you know, the display. It's got a 3.8-inch WVGA display. It actually looks really good. You know, it's not super AMOLED or super LCD, but it still is very clear and very crisp. The text and graphics, they look great. And one of the things, and what helps with that, ironically, is the fact that it is kind of a smallish display. It means that you got a great pixel density, even though it's only 480 by 800. On a 3.8-inch display, that translates into 246 pixels per inch. So it's very clear, very little pixelation, even when you get close. I've been very impressed with the display. I've had some problems with the responsiveness of the touchscreen. Sometimes it doesn't, you know, I'll press a button or I'm trying to get to, well, actually like it just did right there. You know, it's just not always responsive. That's with these buttons or, you know, shortcuts on the actual display itself. But, you know, kind of a minor problem. It could just be the unit, the particular unit that I have, but I have been impressed with the display. It is an Android 4.0 phone. You can see that Pantech has added several customizations, and Pantech's UI has always been one of the heaviest manufacturer UIs out there. And so, you know, it's a love it or hate it thing. I mean, everyone's different. It just depends on what you like or what you don't like. But one of the nice things about Pantech's UI is that it adds some kind of nifty customization features, you know, in terms of user customization. For example, you know, you've got this dock at the bottom, which, you know, for one thing is customizable. You can change the shortcuts. But it also has there's actually three different docks that you can scroll through and add more shortcuts. Also, if we go to the app drawer, you can see that you can actually change the icons, so you can use a different set of icons, you know, which you can download from the Google Play Store, but, you know, it has that functionality out of the box. These toggles, you can scroll through them, you can customize which toggles show up. You can also customize the lock screen, what shows on the lock screen. So you can see right now I have shortcuts, but you can change that. So it's a very customizable UI, which is nice. You know, there's just kind of a lot of nifty things to kind of play around with, and then some things that really help with the overall experience. That being said, if you don't like custom UIs, then you will not like this one, because like I said, it's definitely one of the heavier ones out there. Interestingly, another customization that Pantech has made is that it actually comes with SwiftKey. As you can see, this is the SwiftKey virtual keyboard. Along with that, you can choose to use, you know, Google Voice or Pantech's own virtual keyboard. But you know, SwiftKey is one of the highest rated virtual keyboards out there, and again, you can download that from the Google Play Store, but it costs money. And to have that come out of the box for free, you know, if you're not familiar with SwiftKey, or if you don't know that you can actually download other keyboards, you know, it's nice to have such a great virtual keyboard out of the box. You can see some of these, you know, widgets that Pantech has included. This is their email widget, you know, a nice weather widget. You got some shortcut widgets for your friends, and then you know, a music player. So take a look and see some of the widgets. You can see also this interface has been customized. So we've got calendar widgets, clock widgets, the friends widget. There's these mini camera widgets where if you like Instagram and you use a lot of filters, then it comes with these preloaded filters, and then it's actually a widget. So all you have to do if you want to use this particular filter is just tap that, and it'll open the camera, and it'll automatically add that filter. So again, you can kind of see it's like these kind of random little features that Pantech has added, but they're kind of interesting and be helpful to some people. Another kind of unique aspect of the Pantech Marauder is the two modes that it comes with. So right now we're in standard mode. This is standard Android, with Pantech's UI, but it's all just Android, like from every other Android phone. But it also comes with starter mode. And you can see it creates a simplified and easier experience for the first-time smartphone user. So basically, what it does is that it takes the smartphone experience and kind of dumbs it down to basically a feature phone experience is the best way that I can describe it. All of the functionality is still there, the apps, everything is still there, but it's just the UI is a little different. So for example, you can see you have these widgets. You can't move these. I can do a long press. I can't move them around. I can add shortcuts, to my favorite contacts. So I can add this one, but I can't move them around. I can just simply edit them. I have a dialer widget. There's a page over here with browser shortcuts, and then there's another page with some favorite apps. Again, if I want to customize this, I go to edit, and you can see I can delete them and then add another one. So it's a lot like a feature phone. It really is. But it has that simplicity, but all the functionality of a smartphone. So if we go to apps, you can see again, this is kind of organized like a feature phone. You have media, you have more apps, settings, tools. You kind of get that idea. But then if you go to more apps, you can see all of them are still here. So you still have all of that. Obviously, you're limited with the widgets because, like I said, you can't change these, you can't delete them, you can't move them around. You can't add any more pages. This is all you get. So, just a lot simpler for those who are new to Android. It just creates a very simple user experience. I've given it to a few people who, aren't really familiar with Android, or, maybe don't use it a lot. And, for some it was helpful. For some it was actually a little kind of confusing because they were expecting the smartphone experience. But for those who are used to feature phones, it could be a kind of a nice little feature there that could help them out a lot and kind of break them into the Android experience. I mentioned it does have a physical keyboard, and this is actually a very well designed physical keyboard. It's a lot like Pantech's. If you ever saw the Pantech Laser, another Pantech phone with a physical QWERTY, it's a lot like that, but it's been improved a lot, and I like the improvements. So you can see you've got, it's a full, you've got a full number row. The letters, its spacebar row isn't squished in between a row of letters. I hate it when they do that. It's got its own row, and then dedicated keys for comma, period, and then you use Alt to get to the question mark, .com. You've got some arrows over here. So the layout is great. I love having a dedicated row of numbers as well as a dedicated row for the spacebar and certain punctuations. So the layout is great. The keys feel great. You can see they're really flat, very flush with a surface. If you take a look at that, so they're very, very flat, but they have a rubber texture to them, so it makes it very easy to kind of feel your way along as you're typing. A lot of times whenever you have keys that are plasticky and they can be kind of slippery, and as you're trying to type, at least for me, my thumbs kind of just slide all over. But with this, it's very easy to get a nice grip on them. I can type quickly, and the travel on them is great. Over the lazy dog, I had a mistake there. The tactile feedback is nice, and you can tell when you're pressing a key and when you're not pressing a key. So overall, sorry for hitting the tripod there. Overall, it's been a great keyboard, and even though the keys are really flat, it hasn't really presented a problem. I've been very impressed with this keyboard. The rubbery keys, it's just great. If you're picky about keyboards like I am, then you shouldn't have any problems with this one.